Welcome back. In this video, I'll be talking about what a cloud engineer actually does. So what the job of cloud engineer entails. So a cloud engineer is somebody who's in charge of, obviously, the cloud for a company. So if companies have services or offer even internal services in the cloud engineer is the person who is in charge of maintaining these services and that infrastructure altogether. So there are a lot of cloud providers. I'm mostly an expert in Azure, but there's of course Google Cloud Platform and Amazon Web Services and Microsoft Azure and a lot of other cloud providers. And some companies use more than one cloud. There's a lot of reasons for that. There's a lot of advantages for that, but some cloud engineers are expected to work and know more than one cloud. So in my personal experience as a cloud engineer, what I do is I mainly manage infrastructure type of cloud. So when it comes to working on configuring networks or configuring computers in the cloud, that's what I tend to be working on. There are also a lot of people who manage many other services in the cloud. If you look at AWS and GCP and Azure, there's hundreds of services in the cloud, and it's very hard to be an expert in one of them. In many of them, more than one of them. Certain people who are cloud engineers will focus on different things. Certain people work on CI pipelines to get code from a code repository into a functioning website or application in the cloud. Certain people manage, like me, infrastructure, so networking and servers and things like that in the cloud. Certain people manage data analytics and data warehouses in the cloud. So there's a lot of jobs that a cloud engineer can do. Since this is a brand new job, cloud engineer is a very recent thing, and more companies are moving to the cloud. There will probably be in the future distinction between different cloud engineers. Right now, the main ones are really cloud engineer and DevOps. Another thing that cloud engineers do, and especially nowadays when there's companies that have on-site infrastructure and are trying to move to the cloud engineers are working on bridging that gap. So things have to move from on-premise in a company's data center or provider, whatever you have, to the cloud. So there's a lot of communication between the cloud, the new infrastructure, and the old infrastructure until the old infrastructure is completely potentially migrated to the cloud. So the cloud engineer makes sure that these on-premise infrastructures talk to the cloud infrastructure. So based on the cost, if you've tried any cloud services, if you've looked at the pricing of any cloud services, you'll know they're extremely expensive, especially compared to on-premise compute and infrastructure. The only difference is that if you are on-premise, if you have your own data center, you actually pay for the whole computer up front. So if you have $100,000 piece of equipment, you have to pay $100,000 up front for that piece of equipment, and it will run when it runs and however much it runs. So let's say you buy a $100,000 server and you run code, and it's only really using that $100,000 server and compute power and memory and all that stuff for 3 hours a day. You still bought it. So on-premise infrastructure, even if you don't use it 50% of the time, you still pay for it. The advantage of the cloud is if you know you're gonna need a $100,000 piece of equipment for 3 hours a day, you have the option to say, I will need a super powerful virtual machine or computer or whatever you need for 3 hours a day. Then I will turn it off. So if you only need a very powerful computer for 3 hours a day, you can do that in the cloud. That's the great thing. You can just say, Azure or whomever, spin up a super powerful $1,000 an hour machine for 3 hours. And it will do that. It will take a couple of minutes, but it will do it. You will get your machine, you will get your compute power, and when you're done, you will shut it down. So that will really drastically reduce your cost. And that's what cloud engineers do. They try to optimize both the compute and the resources in the cloud with the cost. So as cloud engineers, we try to make sure that the company pays the least amount of money possible, so that everything is as optimized as possible, so that everything that are the requirements for the service that we provide is met, and at the same time the company does not need to spend millions and millions of dollars on a cloud provider. So that's a very important part of a cloud engineer, is being able to optimize resources so that they cost the least amount and they provide the most value to the company and the customers. So that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching until the end. If you have other things that a cloud engineer does that I forgot to mention, please let me know in the comments. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe and click the notification bell so that you stay up to date for when I post videos. Thank you. Bye.
What are you doing?
I'm gonna do a little dance. What
You're a
else?
dork.
I'm a dork. Oh, wait. So even if you use it,
Shadows in the picture.
shadow.